and addictions. Why do we have so many addictions in the U.S.? Think about it. The corporate world wants you to spend all your money on crap you don't need. Go back and look at the start of the whole SUV craze. Most people don't need them, but they've been convinced, cajoled, and manipulated by corporate world that they have it. Deeply in debt, expensive car repairs, higher costs for insurance for those things. I remember when I was a kid, that's how old I am. When I was a kid, people were not driving pickup trucks around as status symbol. Pickup trucks were used to haul a camper, pull a travel trailer. They were strictly utilitarian. The plumber, the carpenter. Then somewhere you get up into the late 80s, early 90s, then they became a status symbol. Now you got pickups that aren't even used as a pickup truck. They got more cab than bed. The bed has a tonneau cover and an ice chest in the back. Wow. They're not trucks anymore. I don't know what they are, but they're not trucks. They got little notches in plastic of the back bumper. Man, whatever happened to that diamond-plated square bumper that if you hit that too hard, you loused up your shins for life? Now they got side pockets in the bed so you can put your, I don't know what in there. The world has shifted. Whoever's making the trucks is not keeping people like me in mind. An 8-foot bed, you can't even get it. Got to special order it. Can't get a stick shift. Got to special order it. Now it's more expensive. I remember when automatics used to be more expensive. Now even the semi-trucks are going to automatic. I have my concerns about that. Women have shifted. People have changed. We brag about being DIY. Well, now you got to do everything yourself, including relieve your own self. Yeah. And yet, we have this big rise in addictions, obsessions, fixations. I've noticed a direct correlation with our society becoming less personal. And you see more and more women posting dog stuff. And their Facebook profile isn't their picture, it's their dog. Somebody confessed to me they're having a struggle with gambling. Others, it's alcohol. Others, it's smoking. What about video game addiction? We don't talk about that. It's swept through the young people. We got an Atari, hooked up to the TV set in the 80s, but it ran its course. I have no interest in picking that up and playing it again. Now you got people doing role-play games involving people around the world. And the facts have come out, people that play a steady diet of violent video games are more likely to bully people. Why do you think we see it all over the internet? And clowns, there's no link between violent video game playing and violent behavior. Really, scholar? Why don't you do your research? There absolutely is. There's a big difference because when I was on Atari, I was blowing up asteroids, not watching people's bloody heads roll off and stealing cars. Why would you play a carjacking video? I can't believe how popular Ghetto Theft San Andreas became. Those are the ones leaving all hateful comments all over the internet. Fact. The rise in defending, justifying, and legalizing marijuana. Huge phenomenon in this day. Smell like body odor, armpit, skunk. we've returned to Woodstock. I remember years ago when Julia Roberts put her arms in the air and she had hair under her arms. I'm like, oh gosh, that is so gross. Nothing beats a smooth, clean-shaven woman. Nothing. I know God put it there, but God also told Adam and Eve to tend to the garden. That includes this here, ladies. The humdrum. Go to work, go home, go to work, go home. Make money, spend it on bills. Then you got all the worrywart people. Your sewer could go bad. It's aging. You need insurance. Wow, they just got you living in fear. Buy this, buy that, buy this. Can we just go back to an old wooden outhouse and an old pump well where nothing breaks? The toilet never overflows. Your water's always there and working. It's crazy. What do? How to get through life? Me? I get through life by eating bare naked granola. Nutritious, tasty, it powers me through my day. And I do it on live video. You've got to try that. You've got to do this. The humdrum existence. It doesn't go away just because you become a Christian. Sometimes the heavens seem as brass. Sometimes seems God is distant. A gentleman came into chat last night saying, God doesn't exist. If he did, why does he allow all this bad stuff to happen? Because we sinned. We started that ball rolling. Secular world doesn't want to believe that. They want to believe that man is basically good, while people are drowning in marijuana, alcohol, dog obsession, video game obsession, passionless existence, earn money to waste it on a bunch of crap. If you really step outside of your own self and you look at life, it seems fruitless and meaningless and pointless. Hurry up, go to work, earn your money, spend it all. Hurry up, go to work, earn your money, spend it all. Get in debt. And the commercials have an aggressive edginess. No credit, bad credit, we can get you in a car today. Sign your life away. And then you get to enjoy the other part of life. Repossession, bankruptcy. What a fun existence. Yeah, good. God saw all that he made and saw that it was good. He made within the human body the ability for it to heal itself. He made in the human body the ability to live forever. That's right. That's right. And God saw all that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening and there was morning the sixth day. Imagine living in a place where the temperature's just right. You could be naked. You don't burn up and you don't get cold. Your thermostat was perfect. You ever stop and think about that? It takes power. It takes something to create heat, electricity, or gas burning It's great heat. And yet your body maintains 98.6. You ever stop and think about that? You're going to tell me that putting dry oats and non-living stuff in your mouth, that your body is a thermostat. That for us men, when it's really hot, your scrotum moves further away from the body to cool off. In the winter, it gets the size of a grape as it's clinging to the very warmth between your legs. Isn't that a thought, huh? How does all that happen by accident? People in America cut down their life expectancy by pouring everything in the hole. Soda pop, chips at the store, junk, fast food. You ever read the ingredients of French fries at McDonald's? Let me know if you find potatoes in it. I'm being facetious, but it's not at the top of the list. And a fun fact, did you know that if the sugars in the first 3 ingredients are salt, it's extremely high? Look at a cereal box. Wheat flour, sugar, artificial flavors, BHT, BHA, riboflavin. What is riboflavin? Read the ingredients on any Generous Mills product. Crap, crap, and more crap. Wheat flour's been destroyed. They bleach it, suck all the nutrients out of it. And we wonder why we got cancer. We all need to become rats. Then we can go anywhere free. Rats can go on a cruise for free. They can enter beautiful buildings for free. If you became a rat, you could live like a king in a mansion. Just got to make sure you get the cheese every so often. Rats are freeloaders. They're bums. And the Bible even said that the king can't keep the lizards from coming into his palace. Lizards boldly walk in where people tremble. Isn't that fun? Perspective is awesome. And they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God among the trees of the garden. Then the Lord God called the man and said to him, "Where are you?" And he said, "I heard the sound of thee in the garden. I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid myself." And God said, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree of life, which I commanded you not to eat?" Do you realize? Y'all look up at Bill Gates and Zuckerberg and the tech kings, and you look at what you consider to be the smart and the who's who and the hobnob and the big billionaires. They don't even get this basic fact. Bill Gates made Microsoft big, but he doesn't understand that he's infected with a virus, that you are infected with a virus. And it's worse than hantavirus. It's worse than COVID. It's worse than Ebola. It's worse than a flesh-eating virus. And it's called sin. And it's destroying you. And it owns you. And you are a slave to it. And you cannot get to heaven. You cannot get to heaven. You need an antivirus, and there's only one. It's not McAfee. It's not Norton. It's Christ. If you don't put your faith in him, you're a goner. Look at the genealogies in the Bible. Look at these genealogies. So all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. So all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. So all the days of Kenan were 910 years, and he died. So all the days of Mahalalel were 895, and he died. Then you got Enoch. Enoch lived 65 years and became the father of Methuselah. Can you imagine being a papa at 65? What's going on here? Then Enoch walked with God 300 years after he became the father of Methuselah, and he had other sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. He's the only one in the genealogy that doesn't say, and he died. What's going on here? Why do people live so long? People say, oh, the Bible's a bunch of BS. God saw all that he made and saw that it was good. Before we sinned, we were intended by God to live forever in our bodies. Our body is very complex. It is not a product of evolution. It is a product of the Creator. Bill Gates and Microsoft got nothing on the original creation that God did. Nothing. Yesterday, the preacher at work at lunchtime said, "One in 1,400 people will die because of errors made by the doctor. One in 9,000 will die by an automobile accident." And he said, but the fact is, there's nobody in this room that's immune from death. That is why you shouldn't put it off. You need to trust in Christ. And it's 2026, and people laugh at that and they mock it. The internet is a distraction, and I'm guilty of it myself. Life is a distraction. People are a distraction. Stuff, bills, the worries of life. The Daily Bread talked about the seed by the sower and how some get caught up in the cares and worries of their life and nothing ever takes root. Some addictions will send you to the gutter. Homeless, penniless. Is that what you want? I aroused some anger when I said what I said about smoking. At the time the Bible was written, nobody was smoking. And I noticed people in America. I look at women and what they do to their bodies or what they do to their hair. I'm looking at women my age or just a little bit younger. It's like, what is this? Scribble? It's not even a pretty tattoo. It just looks like stupid stuff. Now you're older. And it looked like you got a hold of a Sharpie in the classroom and didn't know how to draw. And you have that as a tattoo. I knew a woman at Denver schools, a bus driver. She had crappy written letters on each finger, and she'd put ugly tattoos all over herself. And when you were within 4 feet of her, you could smell bad breath because her teeth were rotting and she didn't take care of her teeth. But yet she's living with her Mexican boyfriend and she always puts them down. But they're getting it on, and it's like, wow, we live in a weird world today. And those are the people making fun of me. The video game addicts, the basement dwellers, the no shame crowd, glorying in their unrighteousness, boasting, bragging, haughtiness. Those are among the 6 things that God hates, 7 that are detestable to him. Haughtiness. And it's an interesting psychological dynamic that the more lost somebody is, the more blind they are, the more arrogant they become. Like the devil. The Bible says the God of this world has blinded the eyes of them that believe not. The world around us, they're full of themselves. They're so blind. And it is a pandemic, and it is systemic in our globe. And those are the ones that are just high and lifted up in their heads. Why wouldn't they be? Satan says, I will be like the Most High. And God says, want to bet? Why did the devil rebel? Why did he draw a third of the angels with him that we now call demons? And if you think they're ugly, hideous creatures, they're not. They're beautiful. And Americans are deceived, and the world is deceived. They say you got to dress a certain way, you got to look a certain way. Satan's beautiful. He doesn't look like the Exorcist or some poltergeist strange thing. And our world and our political world is ruined by shallow, heartless, soulless people that think that dress for success and a college degree is everything, but a relationship with God is laughed at, it is ridiculed, and they mock this book, and our world is going to hell. And people brag about being trans and brag about being gay pride. Pride. Even me. I've been raised in this culture. I am the frog in the kettle. There are things that have come into my life that are not pleasing to God. You go in the Old Testament when Ezra stood up and read the book of the law, they hadn't heard it. And people wept and put on sackcloth and sprinkled ashes on their head. When they heard the law of God, they were convicted about how ungodly they were. Now church is supposed to be a fun house. I'm waiting for the day when you go into church and you're going to have bouncy tents in there. It's silly. People don't want the raw truth. Even in my chat room, no offense, I'm reading comments last night and the last few days, I'm like, where do these people come up with this stuff? People claiming they saw heaven, they saw God, they saw whatever. People seeing Jesus in a taco. Yeah, that's cute. That's cute. Hey, man, Taco Tuesday, man. People thinking their dogs and their goldfish is going to be in heaven. It's amazing. We get so into something that we suddenly want to Christianize it. My friend Ronnie, his CB handle was Comet. He had an old Comet. And he said he believed when he died that he was going to have the best sports car. I said, Ronnie, there's no cars in heaven. Yeah, there are. I believe if somebody's a street sweeper, there'll be a street sweeper in heaven. But I said, do you hear what you're saying? So there's dust and trash on the streets in heaven? I don't want to go. Loud exhaust noises and squealing tires? I don't want to go there. Motorheads and gearheads. I love transportation. But guess what? I'd rather go back to the garden. No noise pollution, no stereos. Can you imagine the quietness? And this is high energy me saying this. No diesel noises. Humanity wants to make as much noise as it can. If you notice, you go into people's homes, you go into restaurants, you go into businesses, music, TV is playing. And most people can't turn off nothing. They're going to have background noise. And I've noticed, and I said this many years ago, and a woman she said, I thought about what you said, and you're right. You know why society got the radio going and all the noise going? They don't want to hear the still small voice of God. You ever wake up in the morning and in the dark and sit on your bed and just go, wow, it's quiet. Even now, I hear the distant interstate, the mournful sound of a truck, the clown on a motorcycle going 1,000 miles an hour in the dark. Wait till you hit something. It's like a fly on the windshield. And you know what's weird? When I was a kid and I was high energy and I was locked in my bedroom at night, I'd look out the window in my room in Torrance, and you heard Crenshaw Boulevard in the distance. The sounds of trucks and automobiles. And guess what? Some things never change. In the distance, I can hear the lone sound of a vehicle. I remember when I was in Prescott, and I was getting ready to move to Duluth, and I was waking up in my room on the third floor of the Hacienda Apartments, and I heard a lone truck. Oh, time to go. Time to get on that lonely highway and move to a new place and find you. I was out in the country staying with a friend many years ago in Duluth. Slept in the living room. So quiet out there, you didn't hear a car. But that dang grandfather clock, every 15 minutes, bing, boom, boom. Every half hour, boom, boom, boom. I said to my friend, you're going to hate me. I can't sleep with that thing. I don't know how anybody can sleep with a grandfather clock. Every 15 minutes, it's got a tone. And you hear the gears in there. Glung, glung, glung. Boom, 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 boom. Oh my gosh! I mean, it's cool when you're awake, but when you're trying to sleep, it's like a faucet. It's fun to put a metal bowl under it. Ping, 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 ping. Stupid. Now, here's one that gets me. I'm going to offend a lot of people with this. Barking dogs. That is not a white noise. That is not a sound I like to hear. I hate it. And white women are the worst with dogs. Every town I've lived in, it's the women. All you hear all day and all night. A leaf blows through the yard. The wind blows. Barking, barking, barking. I'm like, somebody shoot that thing. Something's wrong with it. Put it out of its misery. Michael, I can't believe you said, when you got a dog that's barking at everything, It's mentally jacked. Oh my gosh. And you go and, hi neighbor. Yeah, I can't sleep. Mike, it's a dog. It barks. No, duh. I don't want to hear it. Why does anybody like that? It's a sickness. It's an illness. Everybody says, well, I got it as my burglar alarm. I don't need a dog as a burglar alarm. It's my time to go. It's my time to go. When I was in Colorado, barking dogs and disrespectful women were hand in hand. Even the ones that didn't have. There was a flaky flutie. She lived in Vail. Her name was Coco. White woman who spent too much time in the tanning salon. And her boyfriend lived there, and they both worked for the airlines. He was nice. She was not. Her living room was up against our bedroom, and we'd be in there sleeping, and you'd hear her throw her high heels against the back of the closet, and she'd walk on the hardwood floor. Throw something in the closet. You'd hear the hanger squealing on the damn bar. Slam the closet, open it, slam it. I mean, late in the night. I knocked on her door. I said, hey, your closet is right up against our bedroom, and we can't sleep. Oh my gosh, well, maybe you need to live in the country. Maybe you need to show some respect. I said, okay, ma'am, I'll talk to your boyfriend. I'm through with you. And I came to the door when he came home one day, and he says, hey, Mike. I said, hey, I'm sorry to bother you. And I started, and she butted in. He said, excuse me, this is my apartment. Go away and let me talk to my neighbor. I said, I don't think I'm being tutu. No, you haven't been a problem to me. He said, I work late and stuff, and sometimes she's in here. And I said, yeah, and when she's here, it's ridiculous. Clomping on the hardwood floors with them damn high heels. I said, throwing stuff in the closet, screeching on the... I said, she's not a quiet person. I'm sorry, Mike, I will take care of it. Problem went away. I heard him after we left. He laid into her. Why do men date women like that? Because she was hot and knew it. And the hotter the woman, the more they can get away with being a complete turd to society. But she worked for the airlines and she lived in Vail. Wow, and had an SUV. Ah, okay. And you come down to Denver to date a guy, huh? And you live in his apartment. You using him because it's a place to stay free? Because you work at the airlines down here? And me, as I get older, man, I live in my head too much. But I think about things, I analyze things. It's pretty bleak out there. I look at a lot of the people I work with. All of them are depressing except one guy. Young black guy in the paint booth. He comes in happy and upbeat every day. He came up to me, Mike, I'm having another kid. I said, congratulations. She said, no, Mike, I don't want another one. I got one. It's a handful. I said, well, guess what, Daddy? God wants you to be a daddy again. I see that most of the people I work with are not saved. They don't have the light on. It's Motel 6, but it's dark. It's abandoned. A couple crack addicts leaning against the building and graffiti everywhere, but the light is not on. And it's hard as a Christian. You walk into that arena. Even though I'm a Christian, I'm still human. You want fellowship. You want community, even in your workplace. It ain't there. Spend 8 hours of your day just trying to make a living, and it's like, wow. And the shipping clerk showed me a text. This is just me. A woman that was hired in the sales. She got her back to everybody at lunch every day. Sits facing the wall. When I bring her tickets at 4:30 for what's been shipped, she'll never look at me and say, "Hey, Mike, how are you today?" She seems rude or shy. I don't know which. Both of them are synonymous to me. And he showed me a text that she sent him because they got some little Twitter painting going on. And I really wish you would lick my neck. This stuck up, shy, wallflower woman wants somebody to lick her neck. He showed me a picture of her hair all permed up and hanging down and t-shirt on with no bra. She hit her face, all the hair, and I looked at him, I said, you know, when I go up there and I see her, I would never envision what you're showing me. He told me yesterday, yeah, we're heading towards a relationship. I thought, why do I get the feeling this is going to end up in the trash can? She's got 4 kids and she's 26. She's more petite than even I'm into. She's got the personality of a breadstick. She's okay looking, but she's not. I wouldn't picture me saying, oh, I'd like to lick you up one down the other like a popsicle. It's just weird when you see something revealed. He said, you're the only one that even knows that we have a thing going on. I said, well, I ain't going to tell anybody here. I don't eat popcorn, but I'm with the bucket of popcorn sitting in the background. Let's see how fast this goes from 0 to 60. It ends. Now I want to share something with you. He's proud of his daughter. She's been doing college classing while at school and graduates this year and going to college, and she made the honors and got attention. And I said, well, congratulations. Just a month ago, he let her use the car, and she didn't yield to traffic and was in a hurry and literally hit somebody head on. She's lucky she didn't get killed. And that other person was getting an attorney, last I heard. And he was telling me yesterday how proud he is of his daughter. And I'm thinking, our society's weird. She does so well in school, but she can't drive an automobile. And our society values everything from the wrong perspective. They don't value me, who went through a lot of crap. I could have been a drug addict. I could have been sitting in a town at the corner bus stop going, spare change. You help me get new glasses. And God has powered me to keep going. That society brags about this and that. Look at Tiger Woods. Oh, everybody looks up to Tiger. He can't drive. flipped another vehicle, got a DUI, got arrested. Even for me, I'm a relational man. And yet when I get out there, people, they make me pull up the drawbridges. Say, no. I was reflecting the other day on how things have changed. We had a girl working for us, taking pictures and advertising some of our products online. She was playing with her phone. She wasn't doing a good job. She got fired. That's one. Then the girl they hired for me to train at the back table, she got fired. Last 10 minutes, she sat by the time clock outside the manager and the boss's office, or the owner's office. Then we had another gal who came to the back table, which I trained. She was fired because she's standing outside with her hands in her pockets. Then we had a fourth that was fired. Actually, she quit. And the shipping clerk says, I know her. We used to work at a place together, and she's acting like she don't know me. I said, really? And then the fifth, she lasted a few weeks. She'd go out and sleep in her car for a couple hours. Right in broad daylight, right in front of the warehouse. She was, that's 5 women. All of them African American. The culture here is amazing. And then you go to my culture of women. I won $20. They pull a name out of a hat at the end of the lunch after the preacher preaches, and my turn was up. And they got something wrapped in a plastic bag. I think it's just a plastic box. I don't know what's in it. Nobody's picking it. I'm like, give me the $20. And I went to the secretary's white. She's around my age. Looks older than me by a long shot. We call her the Silver Fox. And she gets on everybody's nerves. I went up. I said, well, it was my turn today. And she goes, what do you mean it was your turn? I said, I won the 20. Well, it wasn't your turn. I was supposed to win it. I said, well, it was my turn. I said, God said so. I'm trying to create humor, and she's so serious. There's no such thing as turn. I thought, you know what? This is why I don't talk to most white women. You can't have a conversation. You cannot have a conversation with people who have an obtuse brain. Any other man would have understood it. And they would have said, yep, the money was on you today. Yeah, and a woman will twist up what you say so bad. What is it about people? We all irritate each other. My ex-wife of 14 years, I'm driving and her finger comes right across my face to point at something. I said, could you not do that? Oh my gosh. I said, you're putting your finger right in my face when I'm driving. I'm trying to point out something. I said, do you need to put your finger in my field of vision? Ugh. She had a degree in psychology and she was a damn mess. I've seen and I've watched, and there's pattern recognition that goes beyond what we use the word for or the term. There's pattern recognition even in my own world, and there's people that will pattern recognize me or think that they can. But I look at a lot of women in our culture, and yes, They're stupid. You say something. When I was in Hibbing or Virginia, Minnesota, way up north, I drove the bus and I had adults, I had teachers, we had field trips with moms, and it was really weird up there. You have a nice day, ma'am. I will. Not thank you, you also. I will. What is this? What is this? Mental disorder, Michael. Do you need to study this that deeply? It's called whack. You see these women that are running people over. They're texting. They're charged with murder. These young women, look at them in court. They have no remorse about what they've done. They're upset that they're going to be locked up and won't be able to do this anymore. Tell me I'm lying. That's our society. There was a celeb in LA. She mowed down 2 Hispanic kids going 85. She was out on bail. And a friend of mine up in Boston had pointed it out and said, watch, she'll probably get off. Well, they did end up throwing the book at her. But her whole mentality was, okay, I made a mistake. Can I get on with my life? Excuse me. You didn't make a mistake. You woefully and deliberately went like this to the traffic laws and were racing somebody. You killed 2 Hispanic kids. What about that mother? What about that mother? Does she get to go back to normal? What a B word. What a B word. I cannot believe how calloused and jaded and you, I swear, some white women's minds are like a shoebox with a bunch of little metal pieces and marbles and junk, and you shake it and it goes clink, 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 clink. That's what's going on in their head. Like a bunch of crap being shaken around. It's like, is there any rational thought in there? No. Look at AOC when she talks. Oh my gosh. She's Hispanic. And she's as brain dead as they come. And people voted for that. Voted for that. Russia's correct. They'll never have to take America by force. It'll fall from within. Now you got mentally ill people voting in mentally ill people, and we have a mentally ill government. Yeah, I said it. Donald Trump's a businessman. Every decision he makes is profit or loss. I'm not presidential material. I would not have gone after Iran. I would have negotiated diplomacy and say, hey, because of your ideology, I'm concerned about you having nuclear because you hate us. We allow you to exist, but if you have nuclear, you're not going to allow us to exist. I have already elicited some anger by saying I don't approve of this war. This is stupid. Joe Biden trying to beg Iran to sell us fuel, and they laughed. The same Joe Biden and Barack Obama who gave them billions of dollars. Just tell me what part of mentally ill you don't understand. Why do you give a Muslim country that hates our guts money? Any, at all, ever? And Trump has made a decision that's affecting us. At the pumps, with the truckers, with the cost of your food and anything that goes by truck, that's just gone up again. And I said it. We're the largest mental institution in the world. and that people still want to come here. If there's all this racism and we're so bad, why do people want to come here? Because where they're at is much worse. How about Nigeria? They flood into this country. But wait, you got a certain 13% of people that say that we're racist. Would Nigerians say, I don't want to go there, they're all racist against us? No, they want to come here. Mental illness is in our media. It's in our politicians. It's in our school teachers, specifically the so-called science classroom. I love it when the secular liberals like to say that Republicans don't believe in science when it comes to global warming. Oh, really? Really? And you don't believe in the science when it comes to the fact that when a boy is born a boy with a penis, he cannot become a woman. Now that's science. That's a fact. Even these guys that act like little sissy boys, they're male, and they cannot duplicate in their entirety a woman. I could put on lipstick, I could do all kinds of things, put on a wig, and people be fooled until I open my mouth, and I cannot move and groove like a woman because I'm not. That's why. I don't want to be a woman. I think women are beautiful. I don't want a period. I don't want cramps. I don't want hot flashes. And they got to shave all the time, most of their body. I shave my legs every so often because it gets hairy like Sasquatch. I hate it. It takes forever. It's ridiculous. I'm glad I'm a man. And I'm glad women take the time to shave their legs, because when I feel their legs against mine, oh, they feel so sweet. We don't hear about that, but I like a woman with a great set of legs. Smooth and beautiful. Doesn't really matter. I'm getting older, and the day's going to come when women don't look at me. People are more flighty today. I see so many women come into my channel. There's this burst of interest. I interact with them, and then they're gone. And I'm glad it happens that way. It makes me, I don't beg them to come back or where are you? I'm like, let it go. Let it go. As I get older, I let the water flow in the waterway. It goes down. Sometimes all of a sudden this water floods in your direction. It's just a flood. It'll return back to its normal course. Pay it no mind. People are like that. Oh, I like Mike. Oh, he's cool. He's talking. Then you get to know them for 5 minutes. And you hear about some of the interests or things, and I'm going, ooh, I don't know about that one. And because of private conversations, I'm not going to divulge. And I'm going to say something. This is not why I set up this channel. But there's a spinoff that's been happening that I actually articulated it in the mind today. My channel has become a way for me to get to know, albeit briefly, to screen, to analyze women. This one's showing an interest. How would that work out? And some, I'm like, she's pretty. The chemistry's there. But then there's other things, and you go, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't. And I appreciate that. And I'm not going to be hurtful. I'm not going to do that. Everybody's an individual. Be who you are. I remember when a woman forced my hand in here. She's a friend of mine, a black woman. She's a nice woman. She's kind of built like that girl on Robots, the one in the kitchen. Michael, why won't you date me? I said, we'd be better off friends. Why won't you date me? You got something against black women? I said, not at all. She even pulled her shirt down. I said, wow, you got nice nipples. Pretty. I said, you and I can't. And I'm not going to unpack why here. And she pushed and pushed and pushed. I said, why do you want to know? I want to know why you won't date me. And I said, you're a big girl. Michael, what do you got against big women? We can be the best lovers. I said, that may be, but that don't work for me. Look at me. I date petite women more my size and smaller. Now, there's a few Amazonian women that would be hot to be involved with. A couple of those warrior women pictures, I'm like, they wrap their thighs around you and you'd be in dreamland. But generally speaking, I'm into women that are petite, that fit in my arms and feel secure with me. And then she went and told everybody at work, Michael, not into big women. And they all started laughing. Well, look at his size. Some of us roll over and they kill him just in sex. Smother him. And I like this person as a friend. She's funny. We call and text every so often. But I don't have the hots for her. And some people wrongly believe that I'd go after anything. No, I wouldn't. Not at all. I haven't shown desperation on here. I let women reveal themselves. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Wasn't that written by Dale Carnegie? My uncle taught me something profound. When you meet somebody, encourage them to talk about themselves, Michael. And they'll reveal to you in time who and what they are. Talk less about you. Focus on them. And that's why I'll ask women 99 questions. Even in the chat, sometimes people lack certain tact and start asking deeply personal questions. Why are you divorced? Why are you not in touch with your mother? Why would you ask that? I do reveal things in my videos, but people want to ask deeply personal questions, and I'm just like, I don't know about this. I went on a date years ago. I'd moved back to Denver in 2012 after coming down from the highs of Hong Kong and left Spokane and came to dreary Denver. And a woman from Kansas reached out on my profile, and we met at Applebee's one night, and she goes, I'd never date you because you have a son. I looked at her and said, why'd you come to dinner with me? Why didn't you tell me that? And my son is with my ex. I'm not looking for a baby mama. Well, because you're handsome, and just that dinner alone, I let her talk about herself. She was in the military in Korea. She hated Asian culture. I didn't even tell her I just got back from Hong Kong and all that I've been through. Didn't even mention that. And she's blasting Asian culture. And she clearly was bothered that American servicemen would get involved with the Korean women. That really set her off. I thought, well, I better not just tell her I just wasted 4 years chasing a Filipina in Hong Kong. That'd go over well, like a turd in a punch bowl. And then, while she's talking and we're eating, I'm just going, keep revealing stuff here. This is becoming entertaining. I don't like being touched. I don't like it when a man touches me. I'm very sensual. That right there is a deal breaker. I said, oh, really? I said, okay, that's interesting. I didn't volunteer a damn thing. Right after that dinner, we parted ways. I got a text later. I really enjoyed the evening with you. I wouldn't mind going out with you again. I should have put, I thought you didn't want to date a guy with a son. And I did one more time with her. A couple months later, it's kind of a drizzly spring day, and I took her to a really cool restaurant up East Colfax. And we went into some shop that had interesting stuff, a lot of darkish, macabre type stuff, and she was all into that. Why are women into darkness? I don't know, but they are. We took a ride along the highway that runs along the foothills from Golden to Boulder, and things were starting to get green. It was just a rainy day. And riding with her that day, I realized, this woman is getting on my nerves, and I've only been with her twice now. And I was polite. We got done. I dropped her back at her car at a parking lot. And that was the end of that. Don't date women from Kansas. That's the moral of the story. Dating just takes so much money, so much energy. It's just a bad investment anymore. I tell women, don't date a man trying to fix him. You either accept the way he is or don't go after him. I tell myself, there's certain zero lines. It's like a ship. I don't know if you can see this without the glare, but on the bow of the ship, is it even showing? I can't even tell. It's got numbers. That's how many feet when the ship is loaded, how deep it is in the water. And I look at women that way. How much of this woman can I take on that's going to affect me negatively? In other words, where my ship is sinking lower in the water. And there's certain things that we as guys will do. If this, and this are in place, I'll load up some more cargo. But if these aren't there, you're not even getting on deck. You don't even get a complimentary cruise. And if women now have got debt and dogs and smoking and all these habits, and it's non-negotiable. You smoke, that's out. My house smells good. I do not want to smell like a cancer stick. And I don't want my bedding and my clothing and me and your lips and your mouth smelling like an ashtray. I'm not putting people down struggling with smoking. Please, don't take that the wrong way. But I'm not going to date somebody who smokes. People who are marijuana friendly. No. And that seems to be rampant down here. And there's a direct correlation between laziness and heavy pot use. I don't care what anybody says, I see it. There's a direct correlation between bad hygiene and heavy marijuana use. There's just a lot of bad stuff. And we're all like onions. We all have layers on us. It's like those Russian dolls. You got the big one and you pop the top off and there's another one. You pop the top off and there's another one. Sometimes with Western women, you can keep opening one after another, after another, after another. And it's like, wow, all the stuff involved with this. And they'll say, well, that's true about men. It is. People get really mad when I talk about the pet obsession. They really get mad. I'm like, well, then don't date a guy. You want your dogs and your dogs are so important to you. Shoot, don't date a guy because I'm one of those guys. Animals are cool out there. I can't believe how many people want to impose their oppressiveness on me. Your yard needs a dog. Oh, so they can dig it up, poop, and pee everywhere. No thanks. I have no interest in having pets. I can enjoy looking at the cats hanging out in my backyard. They're there every day, all different colored ones. Probably because it's clean and they feel safe and they can see around them if there's danger. That'd be so funny to come home and find an entire zoo sitting in my backyard. Yo, Mike, what up? We thought we'd hang out. Cool. Clean up your poop when you leave, boys. A dog wandered into my yard one day when my plumber's coming to change out a water heater, and he was here all day. He said, I noticed you got a dog friend. I said, that ain't going to be long. I ain't doing no dog. Dog did not leave my yard. That dog stayed nearly 2 months. I posted something about it on Facebook. All the women on my Facebook. We had a bad storm one day. And one says, is that dog outside? I said, it is. Wow, you can't even let it in the house? I said, no. I said, I'm remodeling this house. Smell like animal pee and sex and dope and gas leakage and everything else in here. I don't want all this smell in here. And no, it doesn't stink now because I've sterilized the hell out of it. It tore out everything. And I had all these women complaining, well, Mike, that'd be a good friend for you. That dog is not my friend. It's a dog. I appreciated things. I was tender to it. I went and bought a big old bag of dog food, but then it started chasing my truck going to work, and I thought, oh, hell no. Chased me all the way to the highway. Almost got hit. I said, I got to find somebody to adopt this thing. I'm not going to deal with this. And I did. I posted an ad and a couple responded immediately. Came out, checked it out. They took the dog. And they lived way out in the country. I found a good home for the dog. Women, listen to me. I had an abusive mother that treated the animals better than me. I saw a woman in Hong Kong that I was obsessed over for 4 years. Her employers paid more for the dog's care in a month than they paid her in wages to work 6 days a week and sometimes 7 when they went on vacation. A domestic helper in Hong Kong was only getting $400 US a month. They don't have 40 hours a week. Try 90 hours or more. Go to bed at midnight, wake up at 5, get the kids ready for school, walk these dogs. And Australian people moving to Hong Kong, no yards, no nothing, high rises. And the high rises are tile. Imagine all the Western white women showing up in flats that Chinese live in, woo, 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 echoing off tile and cement buildings. And you're paying $6,500 US a month for that. Dog owners are so damn irritating. No, Michael will not date a woman with a dog. Not going to happen. It doesn't work. I married a woman 14 years that was obsessed with her cat. That showed up the first week we were married. I've discussed that in length on other videos. I'm not going to tire you out again. I like animals outside the house. They don't belong in here. Cats, dogs don't belong in a house. They don't care about a house the way we do. They want to pee, they pee. They want to scratch, they scratch. They want to stink, they stink. And then you're sleeping with them in your bed. Yeah, I'm going to kiss on a lady that's letting her dog lick her lips. Petri dish. Dog sits down with its tail out, leaving butthole all over your sheets. Nice. That's so off-putting to me with a female. Sleeping with your big old pooch. Ringworm is big. I've gotten it here. I worked with students who had it. And I'd get it on my back. I'd get it on my arms. And I had to buy this dang Blue Star when I get it and rub it in. Dogs here carry all kinds of stuff. You have to get a trifecta, which is $250. Ticks, fleas, heartworm, and everything else down here. When I was a kid, you didn't have to do that. Damn cat can cost you $2,000 at the vet. Veterinarians are making as much money as doctors. And now we got to have commercials telling us that your dog cannot just eat dry dog food. It needs to use a science diet, blended, highly engineered. This is a dog. They'll go out and eat crap in the road. They'll eat their own poop, and you're worried about designer dog food? We got a whole billion-dollar industry. PetSmart, Petsco. Women are bringing their dang dogs into the stores. White women. Everywhere. Used to be service dog only. Now they're just showing up. They walk into Home Depot. White women with their dog. What in the heck? And I've watched our society swing where women treat animals better than other humans. Tell me, for the name of God, where that is okay in here. Show me the money. Guys can't get a date because we're not worthy. And then you baby talk your dog. You sleep with your dog. And you'll post nothing but pictures of your dog. And there was a woman in Alabama 2 years ago charged with having sex with her dog, a white female, and making videos of it. Ugh. This is all the result of a boring society, an addicted society, of a depersonalized society. Corporate America has worked hard to get you to be a slave to making money so you can buy their crap. It takes two incomes now, and you got women out there. I want a man who provides for me. If he doesn't provide for me, he's worse than an unbeliever. Wait a minute. What's the definition of provide, honey? A Ferrari and your selfish little lifestyle? Now, I've been alone for 8 years. I had a fairly decent looking woman. She ain't no 10, but she was decent looking. She had an extremely overinflated view of herself. She did have very nice legs. Out of all the women I've seen, her legs stood out. I'm like, oh, I'd like to touch that leg on the inner thigh. Woo, baby, that'd feel good. And she believes that a Christian man's supposed to be wealthy. Huh. Jesus said in Matthew, do not worry about what you will eat or what you will drink. Why do you tell Christians that? If men are supposed to be wealthy, was that directed at women? Maybe it was. Let's see what it says. What was Jesus saying here? He says, for this reason I say to you, do not be anxious for your life as to what you shall eat or what you shall drink, nor for your body as to what you shall put on. Is not life more than food and the body than clothing? You know, God told man, if a man will not work, he will not eat. So what's going on here? He's talking about you can work and never make enough, but God will provide. And women, if you're putting a dollar amount on a man, you are not walking in the Holy Ghost. Let me say it again. You're putting a dollar amount on a man, you're not after love. You're after a cash register, an ATM. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. You are out of line. And you got a lot of Christian women that married their husbands, not because of good looks, not because of anything, but because of their bank account. And God will shake that. He will bring you to a point where you get tired of that guy. And it starts to be revealed that your reason for marrying him had nothing to do with love. Jesus Christ died on a cross when we were destitute, worthless to him. Women, you won't die to yourself. You will not die for your man. You're so into you, you think you're greater than God, putting expectations on us that you have no business putting on us. While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. And women come along, well, my man better make good money. Pastor read Proverbs 31. The virtuous woman, who can find? She girds herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She senses that her gain is good. Her lamp does not go out at night. She stretches out her hands to the distaff, and her hands grasp the spindle. She extends her hands to the poor, and she stretches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She looks for wool and flax and works with her hands in delight. Sounds to me like this is a woman who's working just as much as a man to take care of the needs of her family. A man is supposed to go to work. But we are not, by God, here to give a woman a bonbon lifestyle. That is not scriptural. It says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for. Do you know Jesus didn't go out and make big money and bless us? He stretched out his arms and died. Women, if you can't stretch out and die in your relationship, then you aren't walking in the Spirit. And that goes for us men. Would you lay down your life for that wife of yours? And it doesn't mean spoil them. It doesn't mean give them what they want. Would you defend them against an enemy? Would you defend them against yours or somebody else's family? That woman that wandered into church is never going to have a productive relationship with a man. She's already 48. She's getting to the point of diminishing returns, as I am, and I'm 60. I'm a truck with high miles, but the body's still good. The motor is strong. There are no leaks in this engine. There's no squealing fan belts in it. It starts up every morning when I go down. I mean, we're ready to go. I've been blessed. Most men that are my age, they got to start looking in the Philippines. They got to have a bank account so they can get the hot girl because most American women aren't going to give them the time of day. Pot gut, white curly chest hairs, butt cheek bald, and they don't want them. But even me, I work, I'm in good shape. They ain't knocking on my door. They're like ships or boats. I'm this liner that comes in the harbor and all the curious looky-loos get up close to it. What is this? Michael, throw me a line. I want to come aboard. Okay. She's there for 5 minutes, jumps back off, sails in her little boat. This is the world I live in, folks. Women look at us like a meat market. I ain't grade A sirloin to them. I can't even please God in my day-to-day life. How in the world am I going to please some high-maintenance, immature, narcissistic female? I'm not supposed to. Her children rise up and bless her, her husband also, and he praises her, saying, many daughters have done nobly, but you excel them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Now, let me say something. A lot of American women like to quote that verse when they're 450 pounds. Honey, if you chose lifestyles and habits, don't be surprised if most of us aren't interested when your body is this big. When you turn sideways and I can see the Super Bowl score and it says Goodyear down the side, I'm not going to have an attraction to that. And I'm not being insensitive. Women have as many addictions as men, if not more. Expensive monthly bills. I have to have my cable, $250 a month, huh? I have to have my Starbucks, $8 a day for coffee. Now we got women and teenagers walking into church with their Starbucks. The minute I see that, I think, nope. And people get mad at me for that. I had a young teen get on my bus for Denver Green school route. She was very stuck up, rude. She'd get on with her dang coffee, her Starbucks every day. She spilled it all over the floor of the bus, didn't tell me. It was a mess. I got to the school, and after everybody got off, I'm like, that little B word. Next day when she came up, I said, hold on. Give that coffee to your mother. Because you need to tell your mother you left a mess on the seat and on the floor, didn't bother to tell me about it, and you give me an attitude every day, and I've never done anything to you. I don't want to see that mug butt on here no more. And I said, don't give me an attitude. I could have written you up for that. You know that, right? No more coffee on my bus, ma'am. No more. You're not even supposed to be eating and drinking on the bus. But I figure you guys are high school kids and, you can be mature, but you, no more. I tell you what, I was that same stop. It's in front of an old closed school. And like 10 kids got on there and the parents standing out there. And a woman coming towards me in an SUV. There's no sun glare, nothing. She comes straight out. Starts running my stop sign when kids were on the other side of the street. I laid on the horn. She slams on the brakes at my driver's window. What are you honking at? I said, do you see the stop sign? I'm going to turn you in for road rage. I said, you running my stop sign. Do you see the flashing lights, lady? She pulls out her phone. I said, this is my supervisor's name. This is my name. Call her. And I got your plate. And one of the parents walks around my bus and says, you went through a stop sign. You could have killed one of these kids. We're going to call the police on you. She had a dealer demo plate. Her husband probably worked at the dealer. My, aren't we entitled? Women don't like it, but I've seen the reality of women in our culture, and it ain't pretty. I don't care what they think of me. I don't care anymore. Most of them are wrong. Most of them can't take criticism. Most of them will never, ever, ever hold a full view mirror to their own personality and see the ugliness within. And I love women. But when I drove a bus, I'm like, they're not nice out here. And the girls that were the biggest snots on the bus, when you met mama, just like mama. I had a high school team, the girls basketball. They brought a dang cake to celebrate something. After the game, they ate it. They got it on the seats. They got it on the door. They got it on the windows. They smeared the frosting all over. Some of these rode my high school route. I got back to the garage. I'm like, you've got to be kidding. I spent an hour cleaning all that up. She gets on the bus. Hi, Mike. I said, hold up. What the hell did you all do with that cake back there? She goes, oh, I'm sorry. I said, oh, all over the seats? I said, you're grown people. Why did you do that? I said, you know how long it took me to clean that? I said, that really angered me. And I respected you. I'm sorry, Mike. Yeah. That, there's no call for that. I said, you see how clean I keep this? You see how smooth I drive? And you guys had a cake fight back there and didn't bother to pick up after it? So I tell the coach, hold up. Before you leave, walk this bus with me. Sometimes the coach said, everybody get up. What's this? Is that the way to treat this driver? Better pick up all this. I had a coach. We picked up the team, and they didn't even go anywhere. Picked them up from school. He said, stop at Burger King. They all come on with shakes and everything. I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. I just mopped the floors and cleaned this. They're not supposed to. He goes, but man, we got to get him lunch. It was everywhere. And I told him. And he looked at me and said, isn't that your job to clean up the bus? I said, hold it. Denver schools, there's no eating or drinking on the bus. I went back and told my supervisor. She goes, really? What's that coach's name? I said, he was at I forgot what event it was. And she made a call down there and said, I don't know why you think that these guys can feed the kids and they can trash the bus and it's not their problem. She went to bat for me. And I'm like, man, there's such an entitlement in our society. I'm going to be honest. Driving the school bus is what woke me up to the reality of people in America. That iconic yellow bus that nobody wants to be behind taught me more about humanity than any psych class, anything. When I give candy bars and chips to the middle schoolers for good behavior, the boys were more likely to say, thank you, mister, and the girls didn't even acknowledge. Oh, they take it. And then they go, I don't want this flavor. Well, then trade with somebody else. I don't got time for all that. I got 80 of you on this bus. Trade with somebody. I mean, I didn't even have to get you anything, ma'am. I've seen our humanity. You think I care what they think about me? Even this morning, I wake up and I'm deleting comments. You look like a creep. You look like I'm going to report you, and I did. You just click report, hater harassment. No face pic, no video content, an energy drink for a profile picture. Polar. I've been at the flea market and nobody has verbally come up and said anything to me like they do online. People may stare, but they've never walked up and said, "What the hell is this? WTF?" Never. People feel brave on the internet. It's almost Friday. Don't matter if you're hot, don't matter if you're not, don't matter if you're smart or dumb, we're all going to die. And for the Christian, maybe the rapture could happen and we don't die. Perspective always keeps us in the right place. My channel is almost like a scientific experiment without me even realizing it, and I realize it. All the flirters that come on and show an interest and then they disappear. Mike, she's hot, go after her. I'm done. I went all the way to Hong Kong. I went all the way to Huntsville. I've been all over the internet with this stuff. You know, the Bible says that God pursues us. How many people pursue people anymore? You got people that think that we got to do it all for them. The humdrum of life gets old. And people deal with it by addictions. Some of those addictions could put you in the gutter or under a bridge or in a hospital or severely damage you for life. I would think very wisely before you continue your path with that. And I'm glad women tell me what their addictions are. I have an addiction to lust. And I saw even recently in myself something that disturbed me, that I could wrongfully move a woman in here because I'm into her, and that could be a fatal mistake. Tear up my house, tear up my life, give me hell. No thanks. And I say, better to be alone, better to die alone and have peace and see God's hand than to have strife and heartache and being robbed or assaulted. Some of these women are violent as hell. And women that have a fascination with the darkness and the occult and feelings and lies, avoid. Women that obsess over pets and call them their children and their fur babies, avoid. Women that got a little dab of God in their life, but embrace all these other false beliefs and stuff, avoid. And people said, avoid me, then do it. If you don't feel comfortable at peace, you shouldn't pursue whatever it is you're pursuing. I don't fight anymore. It's not worth it. I will fight for certain things. If I had a lover that I love and I really am moved by, for her I'll fight. But to get a date, to get a girlfriend, to compromise all of my all, I'm thankful that I've had an opportunity to have an interest in a few women here and there, and they flit off like a sparrow that comes up in the tree branch and they're gone. That's what it is. That's what the internet and the world's become. Sometimes it's depressing. And God is taking my hands off so much. I went and bought that truck, wasted money. Thank God that enough time has gone by that I said I will never buy that sort of thing again. Man, I ought to buy a Crown Vic with a loud exhaust in it, and then I can be a jerk in the neighborhood. I'm joking. It's not my style. But I'm learning. The Bible says be content with such things as you have. You know, you can save a lot of money by being content with such things as you have. Stop getting caught up in the world and the junk that they make you buy. It's stupid. It's dumb. It's pointless. And, yeah, that one right there. The applesauce cups are my friend. And I'm watching a relationship blow up fast. And let's be honest, we're not prudes. We're not prudes. You got a lot of, you know, it goes from 0 to 60 in the sexual arena so fast today. These two are already being inappropriate and texting back and forth. I told him, I said, you're using the company chat. And they're not saying sexual things, but there's flirting. I said, you know, they can all see that. I know that's why we're on phones now. I said, well, you better be careful. Because, you know, HR is going to promptly remind you this is the workplace. And she's this wallflower of a girl who has no personality, texting him, I want you to lick my neck. Oh my gosh. I mean, when you look at her, you wouldn't think there's anything there. Just goes to show you, we never know what's going on in this or this in anybody. I mean, some people will say, oh, you look like Jeffrey Dahmer. Folks, Jeffrey Dahmer wasn't on the internet, and he wasn't a vociferous public person. None of those creeps that you compare me to were vocal and on here like this. They were weird, period, and they hid in the shadows, and they acted weird at their jobs, and they were weird to their neighbors. I mean, there were signs, and nobody saw them. I don't like violence. So, that being said, wrong guy. The whole Buffalo Bill and Jeffrey Dahmer, all that crap is simply that, crap. I don't even watch that stuff. I just know that I have to, the Bible says, be sober-minded. Sober. You know what that means? It's not just talking about being free from alcohol. It means that let your thinking not be controlled by emotions or the whims and the fickleness of the day. We're supposed to be sober-minded. The devil prowls around like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. And he devours us by getting us to get caught up in relationships or expenditures that put us in chains. And nobody thinks of that. And I'm sorry, you get involved, male or female, with the wrong person, you are enchained and enslaved. Good luck getting out of that in one piece. And I'm glad that in spite of my flaws and my imperfections, that God gives me an ability to look in on things and think. I haven't had the immediate gratification of somebody right here. Now I can look at them from afar and go, that person's nice, but it wouldn't work for romantic, I'm in love with you kind of a thing. And that's good. And I still believe our date cultures date and mate. Even in Christianity, we're all comfortable too much with compromising sexually. And God tells us not to do that. Living together, premarital sex, feeling each other up is fun. But God doesn't sit up there and go, wow, that's great. And no matter what the devil tries to tell you, when you go out there and have sex before marriage, God doesn't just wink at that. He's displeased. And as a Christian, how do I get myself free from lust? It's a hard one. I have an addiction to that. No woman's going to solve that for me. Not one. It will be there. And I've realized there's no point in getting married, because to get married, the lust is going to be there, and now you got a woman who's going to guilt you for it. Why would I do that? It's as twisted as it sounds. The best relationship I have is with a Korean gal in Colorado that we could talk about all those other fantasies we had flowing through us, and it worked for us, but it's, is it pleasing to God? Of course not. We're broken. We have darkness in us, and God has to work on us. And some things are not going to go away until we are literally in heaven. That's what people don't realize. They think, if you just keep trying hard, go ahead. Run the hamster wheel and go through your whole habit trail. You still struggle. Now, there are some things you better put away for your own sanity. You got an addiction to some things, they'll kill you. They'll leave you bankrupt. You better get control of it. Depends on how much you want to survive. Lust is harder because it's more mental. I don't have to go to a booby bar. I don't have to do it. The internet is the booby bar. The internet, you can get your fill and never leave your house and never pay a dime. Gambling, drug addiction, those are different. They'll kill you. They'll mess your health up. I got a young lady who's a friend of mine. She's addicted to mushrooms, alcohol, cigarettes, and marijuana, and shrooms, and unemployed. And milking disability. And I'm like, wow. And you want to help, and you can't. You can't. And yes, I'm going to say that. No names are mentioned. And it befuddles me. It's like, you're destroying your health by doing what you're doing. And then you moved in a boyfriend who's unemployed. And you live in your parents' property that they're paying the utilities and the bills on. What do you think you have to give to society? You're a dependent. A complete dependent. And I've said, you got to stop. Oh, I'll never completely stop. I can't do it. The problem is you're so wrapped up in all these addictions. And then she says, well, I don't even have a sex drive. I said, I wonder why. You're pouring so much drug cocktail in you, it's probably messing with all your nerves, your sensations. You're looking for something to give you a buzz. So the orgasm don't even matter anymore. And you cannot unravel the layers of women and the stuff they continually justify, rationalize, and continue to say, well, I can't, so therefore I'm going to continue staying in this. Well, I could never fall in love with you because you have nothing to offer me but nothing but problems. You're doing drugs, you could burn my house down because of you're out of it and leave a cigarette burning somewhere. No thanks. I was thinking about that too with the smokers. See how many forest fires have been started in the U.S. because some idiot flicked the butt out the window? They think everything's a lightning strike. No, it's a cigarette strike. Nothing turns me off more than seeing a woman with a cigarette dragging out of her mouth. Or vape smoke, or pot smoke, or standing there with a beer can, or baby talking her doggy, or obsessing with her SUV, walking into church with her Starbucks, pastor's preaching a heavy sermon and she's sipping her coffee and texting on her phone. I don't want to say, hey, why are you in here? You're not even listening to him. I watch the women even in the choir. They're back there whispering to each other behind the pastor. And the one's got a cup so damn big, I couldn't even pick it up. She's back there with her tall straw. Man, there used to be something called decorum in a church. You didn't do that. Now anything goes. We cater to them. It's a women-dominated society. They want to come in and kick off their flip-flops and curl their feet up on the pews. And I'm waiting for the day when they bring their dogs into church. Oh, wait. They're already doing that in Denver, the United Methodist Church. They have a Bless Your Pets Day. And they sing all creatures of our God and King. And the pastor goes around blessing animals. That's not church. I don't know what it is, but it ain't church. Give me an old-fashioned building with old oak woodwork and an old pipe organ, an old piano. Give me an old lectern and I will rock that place with a message. People today are going to have gimmicks. Surround sound and sit in their recliners and their leather office-looking pickup truck now. We got a new 1-ton with a flatbed. And they got floor mats, and I went to step on it, and it went, whoo! I mean, I'm glad I was holding a handguard. I said, you know, those floor mats in that truck are deadly. These trucks aren't even practical anymore. They're crazy. Crazy. Trucks, cars, and SUVs aren't even intimate anymore. Got to have entertainment for the kids built into the headrest with video. Even the airplanes. You got videos in the back of the seat. Our society and the devil is getting us to interact less and less with others and doing it vicariously through online instead of face-to-face. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but I smell good and I take care of myself. But I always have to tell myself, all these women that get online and they're doing all this, you know, we don't get to know if they smell bad. We don't know if they got dragon breath or didn't wash their butt cheeks breath. You know, you don't know what you're dealing with. The internet is an illusion. People look at me and they go, Mike, you talk about some pretty deep stuff. Yeah, I have to. It's a safeguard. Because I'm as human as anybody else and can make a mistake. And as I get older, my mind tells myself, don't trust. Don't be stupid. You're older. There's women that are falling apart. They want to be with you. They want to be you to be their life preserver. No matter what, no matter how old I get, I still need a helpmeet. And if I can't get that, no deal. Just like the U2 song. And you give yourself away. And you give, and you give, and you give yourself away. With or without you. I was driving my truck in the 80s in Prescott, and I had that cassette tape in my boombox. And I was not living in obedience to God. I was chasing Melinda around, who was a Catholic and had no interest in Christianity. I was wasting all my money on taking her out all the time, and my apartment was a mess. My roommate even got on me and said, man, you need to wash the dishes and clean up. I said, you're going to tell me what to do when I rented to you? When she finally broke up with me, that was the best thing that ever happened. I was out there mourning that. I was driving on a weekend by myself out in Williamson Valley, the Arizona countryside, and you give. I pulled over the truck and I punched the stop button on the cassette and said, I'm done with this. This song is depressing. And I went back to Christian music. And I said, Mark, get off your butt. We're going to the dump. What? I said, this place, the HUD is a mess. The yard is a mess. I got 3 pickup trucks, one that I've torn down, one that's, I don't like this. I need to trim the hedge. This place looks like a redneck dump. Yep, I was like that once. My mother even was disgusted because it was her property. Looks like a mess back there. I gave away the one truck. I sold the other. Took the camper. Got rid of that. Cleaned out the shed. Trimmed the hedge. Vacuumed the floor. Washed the dishes. Cleaned up. And I said, no more mess. And you're not bringing your motorcycle on the carpet to work on it in the house. Oh my gosh. What a bunch of pigs we were. My mother actually came down and said, what got into you? I said, sense. What made you clean it? Because I said it's a mess. I was obsessed with Melinda, and that's all I thought about, and it looks like a pigsty. And from that moment on, I never did it again. And I got over Melinda. I would revisit it back in '92. Came out in the winter, Christmas break, and I hooked up with her again. But this one went a lot faster. Came back that summer. We got together one night, went to the place we used to go in the 80s. She was nicely stacked. And she'd wear these little giraffe half shirts. And I never, we kids, but I never touched her or any of that. Well, that night she was feeling it. And I'm going to say something. Sometimes this needs to happen to all of us. She always looked so good. She had long black hair. That night, in her Ford LTD, her old yellow Ford LTD, that big old boat car, we're starting to get passionate. Her shirt came off, and her bra, and I smelled smells I didn't want to smell. The stubble under her arms. I'm glad I didn't go all the way. I thought, wow, I built literally on a fantasy in my mind, and she's none of the above. And honestly, some of the girls that shocked me the most, that you wouldn't think were hot, were the ones that were more plain Jane, and they smelled so good. And when they took their shirt off, you're like, wow. The ones that look really good out there, BS. I've been on all sides of the fence. And I've had women over here say, oh, Asians are dirty little HOW. No, they're not. Some of those Asian women are petite, flat-chested, and they smell good all the time, and they look good all the time, and they're not glopped and drenched in a bucket of makeup, and don't have breast implants, and they don't have cottage cheese stripes down the back of their legs. Yeah, not all things are as they appear. I remember I was married to a wife for 14 years. She goes, all the women in the magazines are airbrushed. I said, not all of them. Oh, yes, they are. I would have never done this, but I would have said, I was going to tell her, I'm in Asia. None of these women are airbrushed, and they're freaking stunning. Chinese, Filipino, Taiwanese. Woo! Japanese women. I have never been with a Japanese woman. To me, that'd be the grand kahuna. Japanese women are unbelievably beautiful. But that's me. And I'm open to dating white. But the white, this thing keeps coming up. The same, it's a computer program. Every ethnicity, even me, we all have a computer program mainframe that we operate from. I see everybody as a hard drive or a floppy disk, or some are sloppy disks. And I look at people, I'm like, there's a sameness in my culture with the women. A lot of white women do something they think is cute. It's really irritating. It's like, they're thinking that's cute. I was about to get on my damn nerves. Black women, there's some beautiful ones out there. And then they all revert back to that. Well, there's all this racism. Did you ever experience racism? Well, but did you ever experience that? And they're living like the slave days are going on. Hispanic women, you got to be very careful because you marry them, you marry the entire family. And if the brother gets mad because she said something to the brother that you pissed her off, he's going to come up and threaten you. I didn't even do anything, bro. And if you touch me, you're going to have a problem. Our relationship is our business, not everybody else's. I had a Hispanic woman and her mother carrying a baby at Metro ARC. It was a thrift store. And I came up the little driveway in Colorado, in Lakewood, right in front of it, and I'm cruising slow. And the woman and the daughter step off the curb, and I stopped. They didn't even look to the right to see me. I stopped. And the mother said, "Watch the F where you're going." And I lost it. I said, "Excuse me, B, you might want to look before you step off the curb." And I pulled around and parked. They both came up to me with the camera, took a plate. And the daughter, "Don't you ever." I said, "Excuse me. I saw you, I watched you, and that's the only reason I was able to stop. If I'd have been looking straight ahead, you would have been hit. I didn't go through here fast. I was crawling, and you guys didn't even look." Refused to acknowledge that. I'm going to call my brother, and he'll come down there and kick it. I say, "Call him. Bring him on. Bring your whole freaking tribe. I'm not scared." I said, "Go call them all." I said, "Oh." And I pulled out my flip phone. I said, "There, I got a picture of your plate. Let's see who takes better pictures." And I insulted her. They got in the car and left. Man, I try to behave out there on the road, and you're in the wrong and you can't even admit it. I'm watching this guy at work get hooked up. This woman is what she is. I'm like, he's taken by her. How long is that going to last? She has 4 kids. What happened to the man that made the 4 kids? Victim after victim after victim lines up to get with these women. He bragged about his daughter. "I'm so proud of her." She did. And I'm not going to say it to him. She has academic sense in a secular sense, but she doesn't have driving sense. And our society praises all these people for all these things, but they don't see the other part of their life that is just ridiculous. And that's why I tell people, stop pedestalizing. Don't pedestalize me. Don't pedestalize her. Don't pedestalize your preacher. You do that, and you set yourself up for inevitable failure. Most people, I look at people like on a ship. You got people that will use you. You got a lot of Christians. They'll talk on and on about trusting God. They got their lifeboat in a swung out position all the time. They're amassing all this wealth for themselves. They're worried about their investment account. And they come up to you, "Well, you just need to trust in God, brother." Yes, you're stockpiling cash and making way too much money doing nowhere near the hard work I am. Okay, Bri. Okay. You want advice by somebody who's a good example? Go to Jesus. Go to the Word. I can give you advice, but you can't pedestalize me. It's not right. I just wolfed down granola, a bowl of oatmeal, vented my spleen to the entire universe on YouTube. Imagine you're floating in space and the earth just disappears. And all of a sudden, the earth is gone. But you can still hear Mr. Sandman, send me a dream. I know that seems weird. It's supposed to be. We get so caught up in the music in this world and this life. Imagine the day that all this is, it's going to happen. When we get to heaven, we're not going to be talking about those great TV shows and that music. We're not going to be talking about none of this. Where are you going? Where are you headed? Are you on the highway to hell? Or are you on the narrow road to eternal life? A relationship could derail your relationship with God. And you got to spend so much time trying to get that train back up on that track. And I admit, I'm finally, as the years go by, admitting, you know what? I want a relationship with a woman, but there's compartments of it. The sex thing is a big one for me. But even in time, even with all my lust, sometimes I'm like, the sex thing is not going to carry you. I like sleeping in my bed by myself. I don't like somebody on top of me when it's hot and sharing that heat. It feels good when it's cold and it's winter and you want to snuggle, but when it's hot, I need space. And the other day, I was walking between warehouses and I said, God, sometimes I just wish you'd put your hand out there in space and allow me to just jump and fall and you catch me. That's what I need. No woman, nobody can give me that. Am I a mess? 100%. You're looking at him every day. I need God like oxygen. I need help like oxygen. And I look around at people that are hurling insults all over the internet. No face picture, no content. Let's take a picture of me playing video games or do a video of me play. Why would people want to watch you play a video game on YouTube? I'm serious. I love women. Problem is, I love them too much. And if I'm not careful, I can make another stupid mistake again. Your loneliness has to be satisfied by God. Will God bring a helpmate suitable for me? I have no idea. I'm starting to believe, I don't think that even exists. How do I mature in my faith and get rock solid, where I let no anxiety rule over me and just trust him? It's a process. What's that song? You are all the air that I need just to love you. And we talk about love, and God is love, and we fail to remember that. We chase that with a person. We don't love God the way we love a woman. You women don't love God the way you love a man. People love their truck and their dog and their bank account and their self-importance more than God and other people. And you're going to hook those people up because somebody has a sex drive and they're horny and they like Jane, and Jane's going, ooh, he got a big bank account. This is going to work. His motive is bad and her motive is bad, and you think that's going to go well? Have fun. Don't ask for a refund after you get off that ride because you ain't going to get it. Gotta go, folks. Life is not a highway. It's a roller coaster. It's up and down, and you go around the corkscrew. And you go upside down, all your money and wallet, cell phone drop to the ground, and you realize, wow, that ride sucked. I just lost it all. Be careful what you seatbelt yourself into. Might be a ride you never bargained for. The humdrum of life and addictions. That's what America represents today. That's it. We're not going to make America great again. It's full of sinners. And because we're full of sinners, we vote in sinners. And sinners run the country. And sinners are everywhere. And we're sinners. And we sin even as Christians. Are we serious? Do we really deceive ourselves into thinking we're going to make this country great? The only time things are going to be great is when God is on the throne, in charge of it all. And we have no more government that can be voted in. Hate to break it to you. Trump ain't going to fix it. We already know the Democrats behind it. They are the wrecking ball party. They're the big steel ball that just goes bash, bash, and screws it up. Are we having fun yet?